Chapter 5, Echoes. On a remote Quidditch pitch set out on the moors of Holyhead, a young chaser practiced alone beneath a gray sky. The wind came hard across the field, carrying the chill of the sea from the coast beyond Anglesey. It was exhausting work, but she did not stop. This match meant too much for that. It would be her first start as a chaser in the professional league, and she intended to be ready. She flew hard, clutching the quaffle in one hand, then dipped into a diving turn and spun into an offhanded shot straight through the middle ring. Perfect. She gave herself only a brief breath of satisfaction before lifting her wand again. Accio quaffle. The ball shot back toward her. She caught it cleanly and steadied herself in the air. For a moment, everything was still. Then the wind died. The sudden silence was worse than the wind had been. She looked around, uneasy, and that was when she heard it. A whisper. Not random, not distant, familiar. Her grip tightened around the broom handle. The whisper came again, louder this time. Images flashed through her mind in broken fragments. The diary, the Chamber of Secrets, Tom Riddle's face. Ginny's breath caught. No, she whispered, not again. She dropped out of the sky so quickly that the ground seemed to rush up at her. She landed hard, shaken and pale, and stood for a moment with the quaffle hanging forgotten at her side. At Grimmauld Place, Harry and Ron were in the middle of discussing the Maledictus case when Ginny burst through the door in full Quidditch gear. There was no smile on her face, no trace of her usual fire. Whatever she had seen had stripped all of that away. Harry looked up at once and knew. It's back, Ginny said. The room went still. Ron glanced between them, confused only for a second, but Harry understood immediately what she meant. He set aside the notes in front of him and stood. They moved the conversation to a private room at the Aurors office in the ministry, where there were fewer ears and fewer interruptions. Ginny sat forward in her chair, hands clenched together, and told them what had happened on the pitch. The whisper, the cold, the feeling of being watched. It wasn't trying to take over, she said. Harry frowned. Then what was it doing? Ginny looked at him steadily. It was trying to connect. Before Harry could answer, Neville arrived from Hogwarts. He reported that there had been no new cases of cursed plants since the purge at Malfoy Manor, and that the greenhouses seemed to have settled. It feels like it's moved on, he said. But it clearly didn't die. Harry nodded grimly. He had already heard from Rolf Scamander that the lizard had returned to normal and been released back into its proper habitat. The curse must be moving, Harry said. That was when Neville noticed Ginny properly. He stopped. You heard it too, he said. Ginny's expression softened with concern. She could see at once that Neville was uneasy. Neville, she said quietly, we're both connected to the Horcruxes Voldemort left behind. Mine was the diary. Yours was that snake. Neville said nothing. Do you think you ended it when you killed the snake? Ginny asked. I did, he said at once. Ginny shook her head. I thought that once, but you don't destroy something like that. You just leave pieces behind. The door opened a short while later, and Proudfoot, one of the older Aurors, stuck his head inside. We've got a wizard outside, he said. He's behaving strangely. He isn't possessed exactly, but something's influencing him. Sounds like the sort of thing you've been dealing with. We're bringing him in. 15 minutes later, the man was seated in a chair in the Aurors' office. He was older, disoriented, and clearly frightened, though he seemed half aware of it at best. He muttered in fragments, sometimes speaking words Harry could not understand at all. Around him, the room itself seemed unsettled. Papers shifted away from his chair. The legs of nearby chairs trembled against the floor. Harry studied him carefully. It looks like a curse that can't fully possess its target, he said. At that moment, the man let out a low groan and began to strain, as though in pain. His skin flickered strangely, and for a second, Harry thought he saw scales breaking through before vanishing again. The air around him grew warm and charged, like a storm about to break. Ginny took a step forward. Ginny, no, Harry warned. But Ginny closed her eyes and let the energy draw near. The thing reached into her mind. For one terrifying moment, she heard a woman's voice, soft, broken, and pleading. Find me, help me, don't leave me. Ginny fought against it, but it pressed hard on her thoughts. Then she felt something else, something stronger than the fear. Someone was holding on to the wizard's hand. She opened her eyes. Neville was on his knees beside the chair, his eyes closed and one hand locked around the wizard's. The pressure in the room collapsed all at once. Ginny drew a sharp breath and staggered backward, and Harry caught her before she fell. The wizard sagged in the chair and began to come back to himself. That thing just tried to get into someone's head, Ron said, staring at the man. Ginny shook her head at once. No, it tried to join them. Ron turned on her in outrage. And you mad thing! What were you doing? The old wizard groaned and started muttering nonsense under his breath. Harry leaned closer, frowning. It's still here, he said. Neville looked up from where he knelt. No, it left. It's gone. I think it just rattled his mind. The wizard's face had gone slack with confusion. He blinked at them all, then muttered, her eyes, her eyes. There was something badly wrong with him still, but the entity itself had gone. Ginny sent an owl to St. Mungo's at once, and not long after, 2 Medi-Wizards arrived with a gurney. They loaded the man quickly and took him away in a flash of movement and white robes, leaving the office silent again. Harry stood where he was for a long moment, jaw tight. We end this before it gets stronger and someone gets hurt. Neville looked at him. What if ending it like that is what caused this? Harry frowned. So we do nothing. No, Neville said. We do it right. Later, back at his desk, Harry made notes in a neat, hurried hand. Hogwarts, forest, manor, fire, people. The list was becoming clear, though not yet understandable. Whatever this was, it kept moving. It was getting closer to something, or someone. And snakes, he thought. Snakes were part of it somehow. They had to be. That evening, Neville walked back to the Leaky Cauldron, where he had been staying in a room provided by Hannah Abbott. She had been living and working there since the battle, and had offered him the room without any fuss at all. He passed a fountain and glanced down into the water as he went. His reflection should have shown only himself. Instead, a second image stood behind him in the water's surface. The silhouette of a woman, calm and motionless, watching him. Neville did not turn around. He only whispered, "What do you want?" The answer came back clearer than it ever had before. To be whole.